You sometimes find you look at women as beneficiaries, but actually they're not beneficiaries. Women are capable. If women are fully included, you'll find that the global GDP would increase by 20%. McKinsey has tried to estimate it to about 13 million to 26 trillion US dollars.
What would it take to then move women to a place where then this contribution is actually life?
I think it takes, first of all, a mindset shift for them to realize that they actually bring value to the table. A woman can actually be a leader. They can make decisions.
How has the AECF supported such women?
So it's not just about the capital that you provide, it's about...
If there was to be a shift, what would that one shift be?
I talked earlier about mindset, but I also think it's about the shift in looking at women.
A warm welcome to this inaugural episode of the AECF Podcast. Here we'll be discussing innovations, ideas, programming, and how, as an institution, we are influencing, impacting our lives for rural and marginalized communities. Our goal, our aim, and our mission as an institution is to improve the lives of rural and marginalized communities by catalyzing private sector investments. And today we have a very interesting conversation where we'll be focusing on women driving economies. How about that? When a woman is empowered, that is a joy to the household. Research has shown that a woman is able to recoup up to 90% of the investments they make as compared to what men would do at 40%. So we want to learn about women driving economies, both in the rural areas, but also in the urban areas. And we have an initiative that is around investing in women. So, Susan, welcome to this conversation for
Thank you.
A subject I believe you have. It's quite close to your heart from your, work in the financial sector, but also in the development sector. So, please let us know more about yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Francis. I'm Susan Situma, the Director of Programs at AECF. And my work at AECF cuts across private sector development and ecosystem development, working indeed in building the resilience of private sector enterprises for the sake of rural and marginalized communities. And we work at the intersection of women, youth, and fragility as AECF. Before joining AECF, Francis has talked about my career in the financial services sector. I worked in some of the leading banks in Kenya, and my work was literally around SME development. And therefore, I've worked extensively with entrepreneurs and growing businesses. I think one of my areas of passion is women economic development. And part of that work, actually, I was involved in creating access, whether it's access to finance, access to markets, access to information, access to networks, and for women entrepreneurs in the banking sector. And therefore, moving to AECF, I was really inspired by the work we do that actually goes beyond, because it goes into really transformative women empowerment approaches that really work on removing some of those social and cultural barriers that otherwise in the financial services sector, we just find women who already have overcome and they're ready for banking. Yeah, so it's exciting to be at AECF.
All right, Susan. So just before we'll delve into the technicalities of today's conversations, I'm sure you could be reading something or reflecting around a certain issue in the society. So maybe you could share some of the learnings you're having with maybe a book you're reading or something that you've encountered in the recent past.
I'm currently reading about Sarah as a character in the Bible. And Sarah happens to be a woman that was full of resilience. I mean, she gave birth at the age of 99. And through her story, we learn that, nothing is impossible. It doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't matter when it starts. I think the important thing is your mindset, your attitude towards achieving that goal. And I think she's one of the women in the Bible who never really gave up about having a child of her own, despite trying to sort of help God in getting around it. But eventually we see that God actually blessed her with what was duly hers. Yeah.
All right, quite interesting when we think about resilience.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at that with regard to building, resilience when we come to women economic empowerment.
Yeah.
But now let's get into it. When people hear about women economic empowerment,
Yeah.
so it has different connotations in the society. So some have thought it's maybe women rising so much and men have no space, or the boy child is forgotten, or it's about simply income. But so what does it mean to empower a woman economically?
I've really come to appreciate women economic empowerment, especially just coming into AECF and seeing the work that we are doing. I think in the financial services sector, you can give access to finance, which is really capital. Yes, it creates agency in the sense that a woman is able to have ownership of assets and land. But at the same time, I think it goes beyond income. It goes into ensuring that a woman is able to, I think you talked about agency earlier, a woman is able to make decisions, and that the access is sustainable. It's not transactional as would be. And therefore, what I've come to realize is that women require a little more support. So it's not just about the capital that you provide and you sit back. It's about walking with them the journey for them to believe themselves, to have that confidence, and to actually enable them to sit at the table and make decisions that are pertinent to how they live and their livelihood. Yeah.
And so we are talking beyond then having a sense of income. There is empowerment from a perspective of them having agency. That they can make decisions on how they live, on how they manage their affairs in their homes. They can also gain agency with regard to the businesses that they run. They can make decisions with regard to who is employed.
That is true. And actually what I realize is, I think coming into development, you sometimes find you look at women as beneficiaries, but actually they're not beneficiaries. Women are capable if they're given the right resources, ecosystem support that will help them thrive. I mean, they contribute to the economy. I think in one of the reports that I was reading, I think it's by the World Bank, that was talking to the fact that if women are fully included, you find that the global GDP would increase by 20%. I was trying to look at if there are any absolute numbers to this 20% growth. And I found that McKinsey has tried to estimate it to about 13 million to 26 trillion US dollars that would be added to the global GDP. And that's looking at women as economic contributors, not just as beneficiaries who are charity. No, they actually come in to contribute. Yeah.
And that brings me to the next question. So what would it take to then move women to a place where then this contribution is actually life and can be felt by the society? What does it take and what could it take?
I think it takes several things, and because it's not just one thing. I think you talked about income earlier. Is income enough? I don't think that's enough. I think it takes, first of all, a mindset shift at how you view women, and even for themselves, for them to realize that they actually bring value to the table, that what they do has a contribution to the economy. And you find that actually when a woman starts a business, you talked earlier about how they give back 90% of their income back to their household, to the education sector, to healthcare, to enterprises that actually support local communities and local supply chains and ecosystems. And therefore, it takes that shift for them to see actually what I'm doing has value and it's bringing economic growth. But it also takes a shift in mindset when we talk about a woman can actually be a leader. They can make decisions, and they have a choice in how they are able to influence outcomes when it comes to the income that they're making. And therefore, it takes sort of thinking about it from an ecosystem approach and looking at both the structural and cultural barriers that they face and creating that enabling ecosystem that supports them build and thrive in their businesses. Yeah.
It's interesting how then a lot of there's a lot that the society would benefit from when we see women actively engaging in their local communities and their engagements. What would be, in your view, but also from your experience, would be some of the things that a society would experience because of seeing a woman empowered? What are some of the changes?
Yeah. I think women are role models in society. They're very close. Even when you look at the businesses that women get to start, you find that they are rooted in the community. Yeah. And a lot of women will start business as a result of a need, getting a need, whether there's children are not going to school, so I need to have an income. I need to support my livelihood. I need to support my children go to school. And therefore, already, as they start, they're already thinking community. They're already thinking, how can I develop? Which therefore means, because they're in community, they're giving back, then you find then they're influencing that local communities and their livelihoods. And if you find that they have that enabling ecosystem around them, actually what they also do is, because women don't thrive alone, they will go call the other one and they will pull each other together. So you find that they actually have a ripple effect to the benefits that accrue in the community. And I don't know if it's good to say this now, but I reflect on one of the stories of a woman in one of our programs in Kakuma Kalobei, Nemlon Enterprises. And she just started her own tailoring shop as herself. But as we speak today, she's pulled other women, taught them how to do tailoring, started a tailoring school, and now she's garnered partnerships that has opened the first technical institute in Kakuma in the most difficult places. It just shows you how that resilience of a woman can actually create those diverse incomes and contribute to the economic growth of such a small area. Yeah.
And I'm reminded of this story about Nemlon and how, I mean, in such a far-flung area, what you would call fragile.
Yes, it is.
And you're having people coming from all over the continent, not there by choice. But
yes.
Circumstances have led them there, but still building something out of the situation that they are in. And to even build a school where you want to empower others to get to learn, but not only to learn, but also to apply the skills, so that I'm seeing here the ripple effect of a woman creating business streams even for men.
Yeah.
Like, so no one is left behind, really.
Yes.
So men, youth, children benefiting by going to school. They are assured of dignity with regard to their
Yes.
livelihoods. They are assured of shelter. They are assured of at least a meal in
Yeah.
the evening, but also some training that I think there's a certain joy that comes when someone knows that they have a training and a skill that they
Yes.
could exercise. And this skill is not only applicable for where they are,
Yeah.
it's actually a skill that they could use wherever else that they could be. And I was reading this research where 1 in every 4 businesses are started or owned by women. But sometimes comes this challenge of financing. Uh, sometimes then we see your traditional financiers would ask for a lot of details that sometimes women in some of these spaces may not have. For example, identification. For example, books of accounts. So
Yes.
you're expecting someone uh, to do your P&Ls, a balance sheet, or maybe they don't even know how to key in the inventory, or they have not been, their capacity has not been built.
Yeah.
So what has AECF done to take into consideration such women and such business ideas that women could have? How has the AECF supported such women?
Yeah. I think when we talked about earlier around empowerment, it's not just about income. It needs to come along with patient capital, which is what AECF provides. It provides catalytic capital that allows them to be de-risked at an early stage, that allows them to be able to put that structure in place, that allows them to formalize their businesses, because we know that formal enterprises have a better chance of surviving, that allows them to actually be mentored, to walk through with a coach that can be able to give them that confidence to believe in themselves, because they already are capable of running a business. And therefore, what I see AECF intervening in is bringing along what is then required to ensure that the business can actually scale. I think a lot of times we believe that women businesses can scale, but actually, given the right support, and we have seen it in the programs that we are running, that if we couple catalytic capital that allows the business to actually put in place what is required, put in place those financial structures and histories that are required to access commercial capital, to even begin having ownership of assets. Because in some of the programs that we are running, we are providing women with assets, and we are seeing how that is shifting and enabling them to even think about taking risks, calculated risks differently for their businesses, and employing other young women and youth in their businesses. So that's the role that I see AECF playing, and going beyond in saying, because we have this catalytic capital, can we also then work on the social and cultural norms? And here we've gone ahead to even work on male allies that will help build that sustainable change that is required and create that enabling environment for their business to thrive. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm imagining someone would be listening to this podcast and wondering, what is patient capital? What is catalytic capital? Would you help us appreciate, maybe in more layman terms, what
Yeah.
we mean by that, and how that is different from commercial capital?
Okay, so catalytic capital is capital that, for us as AECF, we actually provide catalytic capital. We have funders that are patient, so we are funded through public funds and that are donor-driven, and philanthropic funds, and therefore their intention is to actually provide sort of like guarantees to early on for early stage enterprises, and therefore it is capital that does not have the commercial terms, does not require security, for example, if you need to go to the enterprise, that allows you to, and because it's coming earlier on as a de-risk form of capital to allow other investors to come in. So it supports with financial readiness and investment readiness for an enterprise. I think that's what I would define as catalytic capital. Capital that comes in early to de-risk an enterprise so that it can become bankable and investable to access commercial capital.
Reminds me of my chemistry in high school. What a catalyzer is, it speeds up the rate of a chemical reaction.
Exactly.
And so I would
It
imagine
accelerates their
to
growth.
accelerate the growth.
Exactly.
But sometimes also to remove the risk, which we're calling de-risk in this case, for even, for takeoff.
Yes.
So you have capital, but also you not only have the capital, but then you have a technical advisory, someone working with you, as you mentioned, a coach who will help you into, mapping the market, or wondering whether would this product be appreciated in this market, or would there be a different approach to this product? Marketing of products. Right now we have digital channels, just helping them to put up Facebook pages, Instagram, TikTok, to talk about their products. Even I have seen through this programming, even women going into the media and talking confidently about the products that they are having and the solutions that they are scaling for communities. So that is
and that's the difference with what we do when I look at what we do versus financial services. So it's not just about a training. No, it's about understanding where an enterprise is today and walking the journey step by step with them. Walking the journey of, start understanding how to put structure in your business, and then we provide them access to market linkages as well, so that then whatever it is that they are, whether it's goods or services that they're selling, they know that there is this market and therefore they already now have the rails to be able to scale.
And I imagine now that the outcome would be that they actually, as a result of this capacity building, the finances, so they are able to have their book of accounts. They have a bank account. Now this is financial inclusion. They have a bank account, so they could actually access commercial capital, since now they have been de-risked and the business are already running. But then we come to the place of policy. So empowerment, especially from an economic perspective, cannot happen in isolation. I know that as an institution, there are a number of engagements around the question of policy. You've talked about social and cultural norms. Some of them are gender biases that hinder, women engagement in businesses. What is the place of policy in supporting women economic empowerment?
I think it's one of those that plays a very vital role. I smile because I'm thinking of all the policies that are actually there. and you'll ask yourself, okay, so if we have policies, why are they not working for the woman? But at the same time, I think the place of policy is ensuring that, one, it's also creating the enabling regulatory environment that they need to work in, whether it's in the financial environment as well. What are the policies that enable women to thrive? Whether when it comes to law and law enforcement around disputes that would arise around women, whether it's in ownership of assets and the others, and therefore policy is key, because it creates that governing environment that is enabling. But at the same time, I realize that we have quite a number of policies that are not talking to each other. They have an objective that is aligned, but because they are created in isolation, so a government ministry will have policies, and then private sector will also have their policies, and then you find that the local ecosystem at community level, they also have some of what would be And I think you talked about some of the cultural and social norms there. So you find implementation becomes one of those critical aspects in how you ensure that that policy gets to actually work to create that enabling environment. And I must say, part of the work that we do at AECF is actually in creating policies where they do not exist. I think recently we've supported the Kano in Nigeria to come up with a women economic policy that really just outlines what are the enablers for women to thrive there. But it should go beyond policy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also imagine there is also an engagement with South Sudan. I think there was
Yes.
this formation of a technical working group.
Yes.
Just for the purpose of, again, policy, working with governments.
Yes.
Because there is a place of partnerships. It's the appreciation that we may not do this alone. What are some of the other partners that the institution has worked with to formulate policies and but also to push for a champion for the women's agenda?
Okay. So we've worked with, I've talked about Nigeria, we've worked with the government there to create that policy. We actually work with the private sector as well, whether it's advocacy groups, we are working with women rights organizations that especially would support that enabling environment at the community level, but also working with other policy actors, whether it's associations, industry associations, that can be able to provide the relevant environment for women to be successful. So we actually work with a cross-section, depending on the program, because we work at the intersection of agribusiness and renewable energy. So depending on where we see the lift, then we work with the associations that are there. Yeah.
Has this policy also permeated financial institutions for the purposes of lending to the woman?
I think part of what we see, because our work is providing proof points that women are investable, women are bankable. And I think we've run programs where we are actually involved in the investment facilitation and readiness. So we run boot camps with financial institutions where we bring the enterprises and the financial institutions for them to have a dialogue and for the enterprises to understand what are banks looking for, and for banks to actually realize that based on the work that has been done, actually you can invest in this woman because they can make the right decisions for their business. They understand their business. They talk about their business passionately. So, and also there is the safeguarding environment that women also need to work with. So I think we talk about policy, and we're actually working in policy even at the enterprise level in terms of coming up with the right policies that would create that enabling environment for the women enterprises. Yeah.
Great. And so we are looking at a number of, looking at a three-legged stool here. So we have gender and social norms that are critical for women economic empowerment. So here it's working with women rights organizations.
Yes.
So that, and I've read this online, but also had experiences with some of the people we've worked with, like people working at the beaches.
Beach
there are
management
certain
units.
BMUs, beach management units. There are even certain days that, women, if these social norms were not addressed, women would actually not be allowed to own assets.
Yes.
Because of what is believed to be true from a cultural perspective.
Yeah.
So that then financing does not stand on its own.
Yes.
You will need to manage the gender and socio-cultural norms. But then we also have the technical advisory. So three, finances, working with a microfinance institution and any other financial intermediary, and gender and social norms through a women rights organization, but also technical advisory to really support the woman to scale. But when we come to impact, and especially when we think about the Investing in Women flagship program, What is that one thing would you say that is an outstanding impact from women programming?
Wow. There's a lot. I think towards last year, I actually went to visit some of the enterprises that we are supporting that are doing, they're in the fishing industry in Siaya County. And just sitting there and listening to their stories, I mean, it left me with, wow, something that you think would be simple, but how much transformation it's created. So we supported, through the Invest in Women Blue Economy program, we support them with fish cages, we support them with fingerlings, we support them with fish feeds, and we support, partner them with anchor farms that provide market linkages and training for what they do. And you just think we did it as part of our work in supporting rural and marginalized communities. However, when you listen to the stories coming from the women about how it has really opened them up to the fact that they can actually contribute to income to the household, that their husband is actually calling them to the table to make a decision about where should they invest, what should they do. So they're not just looking at them as childcare workers, but they're actually looking at them as economic drivers in the home and in the community. You listen to how they have become leaders, women leaders in their communities. They're taking those leadership positions and actually charting the path for some of the communities. And it doesn't stop there. Some of them have now diversified, just when we talk about sustainable livelihoods, yeah, they've diversified. They have chicken that they're keeping in their home just to ensure that the nutrition, there's food at home, but also they are influencing and mentoring other women. So you just look at it and you're like, wow, this is transformative from just what we've been able to do, and really talks to the power of giving women that ownership, and we see that agency that it has created.
Sure. And even improvement in incomes for the woman. Just before I close on this, there's a question of male champions.
Yes.
Actually, men encouraging women to really get into business, supporting them, being part of the team, the founding team, but also looking at the operations. Do we have any stories of men supporting women, scale their businesses?
Yeah, and I think male allyship is, I think before I said I'm coming from financial services to development, and this one was one of those aha moments when I joined the AECF to see the amount of work that needs to go into creating that enabling ecosystem at the community level. Because you remember that women are not seen as the ones that will bring income. No. And therefore, men are the ones that should provide. And because of that, you find that there's so many barriers that exist, that if a woman goes out to bring money, a man would be feeling like, hey, am I lesser? Is there something I'm not doing? But actually, just from the story I've given you for the women in Siaya County, the stories they gave me were that men are actually now telling their wives, please, can you see what is happening to her? Go and see what she's doing. And for us, that male allyship, we connect with community leaders, we connect with religious leaders that are in a community to ensure that support that is coming through, where there are deep cultural issues that are still embedded in a community, that we break those barriers for them to be able to thrive. Yeah.
Right. We're coming to the close of this conversation.
Wow,
time
Susan.
flies.
Yeah.
And thank you for all the insights, especially thinking about the role of a woman. But just before we close, if there was to be a shift in better supporting women in the community for economic empowerment, really, what would that one shift be?
Wow. I talked earlier about mindset, but I also think it's about the shift in looking at women as economic drivers and actually realizing that we talked about the caregiving that they do, and it's unpaid care work. Realizing that unpaid care work is not private, it's not social, it's actually economic. To then realize, how do you support the woman with whether it's caregiving that allows her to come out and be productive and be able to actually contribute to the economy. Yeah.
Right. Any parting shot?
I think I would encourage women entrepreneurs out there to believe in themselves. You can actually do it. Think beyond the need that got you to start your business. Think, how am I leaving a legacy for my children, for my home? Because being in the financial services sector, I've seen women enterprises that have started a business and the man has actually stopped working and said, I'm coming to join you, because they can see what that enterprise is commanding in terms of income and contribution. So I'd say believe in yourself. Start where you start. Rome was not built in a day. Yeah, success is a journey, not a destination, and therefore you just build on it every day. But critical, build your financial diaries. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for being the first ever guest for the AECF podcast. And this has been a very insightful conversation about women economic empowerment and a lot of learnings that we have gained courtesy of Susan sharing from her experience in the financial sector, but also in the development sector, seeing impact from the ground. We'll be having much more of these conversations, especially on a monthly basis, where we'll be hosting guests that will be sharing with us insights around investments, around businesses, around the innovations that we are seeing, around alternatives to how then they could make their business grow. And so we welcome you to subscribe to this channel for more updates on what will be happening in this channel with regard to our podcast. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening to the end. So if there is any one takeaway, is that when women thrive economically, the whole community benefits. Markets also thrive, communities thrive, children go to school. And there is also the role of the man building allyship and knowing that when the family is safe as a man, you're also safe, knowing that everything is working well. I've been Francis Wachira, the host of this podcast, and until the next one, bye-bye.